Welcome to the Leaders United live session. I'm Tabitha Angel, and I'm the Senior Director of the Our Promise California State Employees Giving Out Work campaign. I'm so excited to be here and reconnect with Dawn Clark Lamb, who we featured in a video that you can find on our website or our YouTube channel. So hi, Dawn, how are you?
Hi, Miss Tabitha. How are you? I'm just wonderful.
It's good. I love seeing your face and hearing your voice. So it's great to see you. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. I miss you so much now about this time.
Yeah, I know it's usually this time. So your participation as a Leaders United executive, was such a pleasure. We actually had you for 2 separate years. We would love to learn more about your experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned from being a Leaders United?
Wow, I learned the first year was challenging because, of course, getting something new as a state employee, you're not used to change. But once I got on and I got to see one of the main things that I loved was Make a Difference Mondays, going out to the nonprofits and helping out, going out and helping out St. John's Women's Shelter. That was fascinating. I love doing that. Going to Loaves and Fishes here in Sacramento, helping at the homeless shelter. I've never helped at the homeless shelter, so that was something that I got to really enjoy because I got to understand the homeless and what they have there. Doing the different state offices. I think the first year I had 14 state offices that I had to be responsible for. So that was a challenge at first, but once I understood what I had to do, it was an amazing experience knowing those state employees and getting to do some of the fairs and so forth, the public speaking and so forth. So I really got a kick out of it. I was so fascinated, I came back the second year. So,
That's
so I
true.
really enjoyed it.
Can you tell us a little bit about for like talking about being a state employee and change is kind of hard, and when you've been working for a certain department for a long time, can you tell us a little bit about your history and kind of what state department you currently work for and how long you've been there, etc., and that
Wow.
experience?
So I started working for the state when I was a young pup. I've been in the state service for 35 years now.
Wow.
And I started donating through United Way in 92.
Wow.
It was United Way, and then it became Our Promise later on. But as a young state employee back then, they would have breakfast lunches, or breaks, box lunches, and tell you about the campaign and so forth, and Savings Plus and all those good things back then. And so I started then donating and didn't understand it until my father died in 2003. And when he died, we started a nonprofit. And so it really became more real to me through his nonprofit at the college here in Sacramento, and helping and so forth. And so that's why I was excited when I got to do the Our Promise campaign, because I knew that his scholarship and his things that he did in the community were important to me. But there's other nonprofits out there that are so deserving of the help and assistance, just like my father's scholarship. So yeah, donating for over almost 30 years now. So
Yes, and you're currently with Caltrans right now,
yes,
correct?
I'm currently with Caltrans. I've been with Caltrans now for 12, 13 years. No, 17 years. I'm sorry, 17 years.
Wow.
And I've been a leadership donor, donating over $2,000, I think, or yeah, $2,000 a year to be a leadership donor, or $1,000 a year to be a leadership donor. So I am passionate about my nonprofits that I support. One of those was Feed Sacramento Homeless that I met through the Our Promise campaign by doing this. And so I go out and help them some every once in a while in the Sacramento community. So I'm enjoying doing the nonprofits and helping and as much as I can because I know right now is a very important time for them to get assistance and help.
It definitely is. Can you talk a little bit about, you said it was a little bit of a challenge coming into the Leaders United program that first year and experiencing change, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that because I think that can be, the blessing of it all or the pro side to it is that we have lots of state employees who come on board on the leaders being a Leaders United executive and have worked for a state department for a very long time, which is fantastic. They're lifers, they're going to be there forever. They love their state department, they love their niche. And with Caltrans, you guys are large, right? You have a ton of districts. There's a
Yeah.
lot happening. There's engineers, like all kinds of different levels at
Yeah.
Caltrans, which is fascinating in itself. But can you kind of talk about how with the Leaders United program that, experiencing the other state departments and learning how they work and how they function and that kind of opening your eyes up to other state service, and how other state departments work and function?
Well, I didn't know a lot about some of like consumer affairs, for instance. Consumer affairs has several different smaller entities within consumer affairs. And so seeing consumer affairs, which I think the last year I was there at Our Promise, I had consumer affairs. And I think me and you had a conversation where I was like, well, I just thought it was consumer affairs. And you were like, no, you got to do all these other little ones in between. And I had no knowledge that I had to do all of those other things. But the one thing that I did learn was the leadership and how to organize and get things together to account for them and make sure that things were aligned. So I think one of the things that the Our Promise campaign and the program showed me was organization,
Yeah.
time management, accounting, um, patience, definitely patience, because you're working with so many other people and so many other organizations. You have to be patient with getting the material to them. At that time, it was getting the material to them. So coordinating those meetings and so forth. But once you got it under, I think it took me maybe a month and I was really ready to go and excited because I had seen all the other stuff in the background. But yeah, once you get with one state department, you kind of understand because you're a lifer. You are. You understand the concepts and the different ways to get things done at the other state departments. So yeah, it may have been a challenge, but that challenge, I overcame that challenge within a month.
Yeah, I
So
remember you being really stressed out. And like, Tabitha, this is nuts and this is crazy and wild. And like Department of Consumer Affairs is a good example that they're probably one of the most public entities of state service because
right,
they
other
do
than us.
all of the licensing and boards
Yes,
for everything. Like you think of getting your hair done, you think
yes,
of like pharmacy, you think of, I mean, everything pretty much that needs a license for or different boards, that is consumer affairs. As a consumer, which we all are, whether we are state employees or not, we are consumers. So consumer affairs is quite the public entity as far as what they do and how they all the things that they
operate.
operate and how the things they provide. So
Yes.
I think that's always a big piece of it, is that the state and its departments are so large,
Mm-hmm.
and so massive that people don't realize how many different state departments there are.
Right.
There's the big guys. I like to say, Caltrans, you guys are very a public entity. Everybody sees you on the side of the road. Everybody sees your signs. I mean, you're kind of everywhere. And
Yeah.
then you've got, DMV being this massive
Yeah.
entity that everybody uses, but people don't really know how they work behind the scenes and like
Right.
what it takes to operate DMV, and all of the things that go into DMV is
Right.
very fascinating, etc. But then there's all these other different boards and commissions and other state departments, that people don't realize, like they are they're, helping keep California running essentially. And people just really don't realize like all the different behind the scenes that goes into it. So I think that's one of the really fascinating parts about the program, is learning all of those different state departments and entities.
Yeah, and one of the things that I did not know is that, of course, now we have legalized marijuana. So a lot of the
Cannabis.
cannabis stuff now is under the Department of Consumer Affairs and their umbrella. So I didn't know that until that became one of my state entities,
Yeah.
the Board of Cannabis. And I'm like, wow. And now because cannabis is expanding, their office is expanding and that board is expanding. So
Yeah.
it's getting ready to be $1 billion business. And now that they have to have licenses and all of those things for running the cannabis business. So
Yeah, there's that. And then there's the other side of it, which most people don't realize, the growing side of it, et cetera,
right,
is under food and agriculture, which,
right,
all of this
right,
stuff was very new to us. Like a lot of, what the state departments are covering or doing, or like the census, for example, when we
yes,
were, California complete census and doing the massive census last year of counting folks and making sure, which most people don't realize how census works. And that census is a huge part of how bills and things are passed and things are done, and why
mm-hmm,
budgets and money and certain things
mm-hmm,
run based off of the census. So,
right.
and that's that was a brand
It's
new
a state
state
entity.
department that came on board. So digital innovation, Office of
Yes,
Digital Innovation, that's a new
yes,
state department that's come on. So as we are evolving, the state is constantly evolving and adjusting and adapting to the needs of, of everyone who lives here in the state of California. So it's
and
really fascinating.
one of the involving things, and I think me and you ran into when I first came, and being an IT person, I talked about how we got our forms and how we could get the forms online and so forth. Me and you were talking about that, and I said, hey, you got to work with these departments and you got to do this. And lo and behold, because of a pandemic, you got to do that. And I was so excited for that because it transitions us from having to go into the office with all those forms, all those big boxes, and so forth, for people to just fill out the form online and it's done that
Yeah,
quickly.
it just made it
So,
easy for everyone. The logistics of distributing 290,000 forms, that's, approximately how many state employees we have in the state of California. People, unless you're part of our program and you're part of our fundraising and campaign, that was a huge piece of what we did logistically,
right,
getting all those forms out, making sure they're distributed to the regional locations, because not everybody's working at headquarters. You've
right,
got especially like Caltrans, you have all these districts all around the state,
right,
managing, our roads, etc. And then you have, all different other kinds of state employees who are not here in the capital region and that are regionally other places. You know, you have state
Right.
employees all the way up to the Oregon border, down to San Diego border, and out into the desert. So there are state employees literally everywhere within the
Yes.
state. So like the distribution and collection, which we remember
Yes.
the collection of
Yes.
that was logistically a nightmare, but
Right.
you know, it's we lived
We
it, we
handled
did
it
it.
though. We handled it, and I'm so honored that I was a part of the transition. You
Yes.
know, just moving it from that piece of the paperwork and so forth to being that one person that was there when all of the change happened.
Yes.
So I'm like, wow, that was an amazing. I was so proud of you when that happened. I could have just jumped out of my seat and jumped 10 years, because
Well,
that was
thank you.
something that was just something that me and you had squabbled over, and you were like, I've been trying to get them to do it. I said, but you got to do it this way, and hopefully, and lo and behold, just because of a pandemic, it happened. So
Yeah,
um,
so the state can change. The
yes,
state
they
and their
can.
input, it
Yes,
can
we
change.
can.
There are,
Yes, we can.
and they're implementing a lot of change, you know. I mean, that's hard for a 290,000 plus entity to say, hey, we need to figure out ways to implement change and to do things. And that takes a lot of work behind the scenes to implement large changes, such
Yes,
as the program going online. I know you guys all telecommuting last year,
yes.
still continue to
Still this year,
telecommute.
yeah.
That's also a huge change that they are implementing and doing, but I think it's really important, and you know, them working together with their employees to figure all of that out and navigate that. It's huge. It's a huge journey. Still a journey for us going online, being online. You know, we still
Yes.
get asked, "Where's my form?" I didn't
Right,
get my form. So people,
right,
you know, old habits never die, we say.
right.
Like people still love themselves a good paper form. But yeah, we're
Yes.
really excited this year to be online again. So we are
Again.
available through Cal Employee Connect, which is
Right.
fantastic and
Mhm.
easy and safe and
Yes.
secure.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that. But I wanted to ask you couple more things about with the nonprofit community. And I was going to ask you what your favorite thing about being a Lou, but you kind of hit it on the head. And I feel like everyone else I've asked has said the same thing. And that's our Make a Difference Monday
Yeah.
program. And
Oh,
it's really had a huge impact on each one of our Lou's. And
yes.
because we all don't have a lot of time, at least I
Mhm.
feel like in my phase of life I'm kind of short on time,
Mhm.
you know, just busy phase of life.
Mhm.
But having Make a Difference Monday and having that actually be a part of the program, having scheduled time for that, it's really given an opportunity for our Lou's to experience what our nonprofits are doing here in our community. And that's
Yes.
really what the Our Promise campaign is about. It's not about, yes, the money's fantastic, donations, but it's really the why. Why do our
Mhm.
nonprofits need those funds? And why should we give back to our community and where we work and where we live? Or maybe don't work or live there anymore, but there's an important reason and passion behind why you want to give back to that. And I really feel that Make a Difference Monday really helps with that. And it really showcases volunteering and volunteerism and what that is about. But
Mhm.
will you kind of talk about loaves and fishes a little bit and your experience? I remember you coming back that day and just being kind of shaken and thinking
Mhm.
like, Tapta, I think that was one of the hardest things I have ever done.
I think the and I hope I don't cry. The one thing that touched me was the young lady that came in with two kids, and I was working behind the counter, and she asked for diapers and wipes, and she had a 2-year old and probably a 7-month old in her arm, and I gave her the diapers and wipes, and she asked me for a place to stay that night for her and her kids. And I told her I didn't know of a place. And so I told her I have to go in the back and ask one of the ladies to come and talk to her about it. So I did that. When I went in the back, I just bawled because this young lady was about the same age as my daughter. She was 26, 27 years old. So I felt the compassion because I felt like if that was my child, I wouldn't want her outside with
Right.
her babies on the street
Right.
and them being so young. So that was a huge impact on me. And you see, I'm tearing up now because, it's that was one of the impressions on the Make a Difference Monday for me.
Well,
That
and I
was
think
huge.
the yeah, and the positive is that you were able to, like, that's unfortunate. Nobody ever wants to see that, right? Like, that's really sad. But the great part about that, I think, is that you got to experience it, and that the nonprofit is there to help
Yes,
her, that they
yes,
were able to provide diapers and wipes for her,
absolutely.
where
Yes,
like having those resources for people, anybody in general, like that's where it's really important. And that's where, it's really about the nonprofits and how they're providing resources for people who really need it, and who
yeah.
may need it at the drop of a hat, and may have not ever needed those resources before. And that's what I think we really saw last year, was that we saw people asking for resources and for help when they never needed it before, nor did they ever think they would need it. They never thought they would be knocking on that door asking for help. But
And
the
that's
pandemic,
why, yeah, that's why it really hurts me, because right now we're in that serious situation where there's so many people on the street and they need help, some kind of assistance, whether it's they just lost their home or they just need a place to stay for a couple of months, you know. Everybody right now, even in the hospitality industry, everybody needs assistance right now. And Loaves and Fishes is there, and people can bring in. I always try to tell people, even if you go to dollar store and just stock up with $20 of items and take it to Loaves and Fishes, they would love that. Diapers, wipes, whatever it is, pills. They need all those things. So all those old clothes that you have, you can take it over there. They need the clothes because there's tons and tons of people coming through there that need assistance. I didn't realize they had a facility, a medical facility on the grounds. They have a fire department on the grounds. They do have resources on the grounds for people to get assistance for if they're going for an interview. They have clothes to give them and shoes and so forth. So they have a lot of resources, but they need more,
yeah,
you know. So they're not the only ones. There's tons of them all over the state of California that need that same assistance in the housing and homeless area. So yeah,
yes.
that's why it touched me so much, because that young lady particularly was around that age of my daughter, and I would never want her to be on the street with my grandbabies. That's what I would
Yeah.
say.
I remember that clearly, unfortunately, but at the same time, I remember it being a very impactful day for you, and you being able to share that story and talk about that. And I think that's important for people to understand and hear, that, these things really are happening. And, it doesn't just have to be maybe human and health services. It can be, maybe it's conservation, saving our earth and making sure
Yeah,
that, it's like our
climate
waterways,
change.
things like that. And there's all kinds of nonprofits out there. Definitely there's human and health services out there, which Loaves and Fishes kind of falls under that category. But there's also, conservation, there's the arts, there's all kinds of different nonprofits out there. And really, with our campaign, you're able to donate to any 501c3 of your choice. So any nonprofit, as long as they're 501c3, for just a minimum of $5 a month. So to any designated nonprofit of your choice. So it's either through payroll deduction, which I know, Don, you are a longtime supporter, or
Mhm.
a one-time gift you can do as well. So there's different ways to give. And of course, if you volunteer your time, we definitely are appreciative of that as well, because that's huge. But I just kind of wanted to wrap up and ask you, I mean, you've kind of talked about it, and I think, you're so passionate and about being not only a supporter of this campaign and being a state employee and everything kind of wrapped into one, but why would you encourage others to join this program, the Leaders United Executive Program? What would you tell your friends or tell your colleagues? Like, hey, you need to join this program because.
Well, I think one of the things that I would tell them is it gives them that leadership development um, experience. It brings out your public speaking. A lot of people are not particularly um, keen on doing public speaking, but it'll bring out your public speaking, communication, networking, time management, like I said earlier, team building, because you're working with other teams, other state offices, and so forth. It shows you presentations, how to do a presentation and so forth. So I think those things will help you in your future in any job resume and so forth that you put down, because you get the skills as a real manager or a leader to run a Fortune 500 company. You know, you get the opportunities to work with other state employees. And I made some wonderful friends through the Leadership United program. And we're still friends today. If we could all meet, we would all meet, you know?
Right,
So
right.
I enjoyed just the camaraderie that we got, you know, with working with one another, and from CHP to all over the state of
Right.
California, just working as a collective team for one entity, you
Yeah.
know,
One
and
common cause.
common cause.
Yeah.
So that was to me most important, because I'm the type of person that wants to help in my community the best way I can. I used to do Girl Scouts. So working with the kids and the nonprofits and so forth is just important for our communities and for our own kids, just to see that we have those leadership skills to succeed, and they can too.
Well, definitely. And I mean, just personally, I can say that I've seen you grow in huge ways professionally over, the 2 years that you were with us. Like I said, that first year you came on board and you were really stressed and nervous and like, Tabitha, I can't do this, to like giving a full-blown presentation in front of 200 people about
Mhm.
your dad's scholarship and about why you're a donor. I mean, things really changed for you over the, progression of the years. And I think that definitely helped. And like you said, time management and those other skill sets came in really handy for you. I think it comes in handy for a lot of people. They just may not know it yet.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
honing in on it, and patience. I mean, we have lots of conversations, especially in the beginning there. And us both not being very patient people, but I just remember those conversations of you
Yes,
saying, Tabitha, like, I can't hang. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, I'm not that patient. I don't have the time for this. I don't have the time for that. Like, they're up my last nerve. They can't
right,
get stuff back to me. And I
right.
remember, and then that changing, over time, and you just navigating that a little differently and figuring out different ways of communication. Like that was a whole process, as well as like you can communicate things one way or you can communicate it the other way, and you might get a better response and you might have a little more patience in return. So, and those are all growing pains for
They
sure
are,
for
they are.
everyone.
I think every state employee probably has went through them same growing pains.
Definitely. Well, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I want to go ahead and do our prize giveaway drawing right now.
Okay.
And so let's go ahead. We're going to spin the wheel and to select a winner of the Our Promise prize pack. So here it goes.
Let's see.
Let's see who it's going to be. Lori, yay! Lori A. Hanks from the Department of Education. So that's awesome. Congratulations, Lori.
Congratulations, Lori.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for confirmation email headed your way. Lori will send you that. Remember, everyone, if you've already entered, you will still have a chance to win. So each of our sessions, we do pull a name and your name stays on that list. So if you've already entered, great, your name will stay on there. If you have not entered, you've got a few more weeks to go ahead and get your name on there. So go ahead and enter. We're going to draw the next Leaders United live session on Tuesday, August 17th. And please mark your calendars because we'll be interviewing a lovely another Caltrans employee, former Caltrans.
Uh-oh.
Laurie McCrae.
Okay.
So she is retired, but she also worked for Caltrans for quite some time as well. So we're excited to have her on board. She's one of the first Leaders United I ever got to work with. So I'm really excited to interview her and be back with her. But Dawn, I mean, your story and just your passion and everything about you, we know is just fabulous. We love having you on and always, encouraging others. And we really couldn't do it without you and the work you're doing. Just personally, I know that you're always out there spreading the love and telling everybody and telling all your state employees to donate and to give and why it's important to give. And that's really the important piece. So,
and don't forget to share your stories.
Yes.
There's tons of other people out there with other stories that like mine. And I know I would love to hear other people's story, just not mine. So yeah, share your stories, you guys.
And if anyone is interested, and if you want to join us, if you would like to be a volunteer, you'd like to be involved in your department's campaign this year, feel free. And maybe you don't know who to ask at your department, reach out to us. You can find us on our website at ourpromiseca.org, or drop something in the chat or the comments, and we're happy to reach out to you. But thanks everyone for joining us today, and thanks to Miss Dawn, and everybody have a wonderful Tuesday. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.